who we are, and what we can be. Words written nearly 8 years ago meant to inspire parishioners and invigorate community and business leaders alike. Today, we can literally turn from east to west, north to south, and see the physical structures that represent a community which has emotionally, financially, and faithfully embraced this capital campaign. We clearly stand on the shoulders of men and women who years ago were able to garner support for a downtown church and schools to serve the needs of a growing capital city. A city that in 1928 saw Brophy Chapel, which would also serve as St. Francis Xavier Church, as the symbol of the Jesuit presence in Arizona. But times were tough through the Depression and war years, causing Brophy High School to close. Amidst that change, the Sisters of Charity of the Blessed Virgin Mary from Dubuque, Iowa, were invited to come teach at a parish grade school. 100 students enrolled during the first year, 1936. Progress continued, and in 1943, both preschool and kindergarten were added to the grade school curriculum, and more than 400 students were enrolled. But what to do with the grade school graduates? Build a high school, of course. And so it was that in 1946, Xavier High School had 75 girls enrolled and would modify its name from St. Francis Xavier High School to Xavier Girls High School, or just Girls High School, until the final Xavier College Prep and the Gator mascot would prevail. By the early 1950s, the grade school had an active enrollment, the high school was thriving, and the entire faith community was an active representation of the baby boom itself. During these years, it was not unusual for numerous masses to be held at multiple locations each Sunday. Brophy College Prep was reopened in 1952 and began holding classes in the original buildings. 10 acres were then sectioned off of the 25-acre parcel donated by Mrs. Ellen Brophy in anticipation of one day building a church. Again, parish leaders were asked to seek creative solutions. Now that Brophy was reestablished, where would the grade school students be taught? Generosity prevailed, and an 8-acre parcel of land was purchased. In 1956, an open house was held for the new parish grade school. Momentum was on our side, and the ball fields quickly followed with the first game held in June of that same year. Truly burgeoning with possibilities but bursting at the seams, our parish community was now in need of its own church. And so it was in March 1957, a door-to-door campaign ensued to raise the funds necessary to build St. Francis Xavier Church. The diligence of that founding committee ensured the goal's success, and in a mere 2 weeks, the entire budget was raised. In February 1958, the groundbreaking occurred, ensuring the construction of our now iconic church. The first Mass, carefully selected, was scheduled on the feast of Jesuit founder St. Ignatius on July 31, 1959. With grateful hearts, we look back at the determined progress that established who we are. And with anticipation, we look forward to what we will be. Through the years, the church membership, student enrollment, and physical footprint of our faith community evolved. Buildings were revamped, parking lots repaved, school buildings modified, named, and renamed. Time marched on with pastors and priests, each leaving their distinct impact. Anniversaries celebrated moments in time. Parishioners ensured that the church and school remained functional, even with aging buildings in need of repairs and updates. In 2003, Father Russell Rohde, then pastor, celebrated the 75th anniversary of the St. Francis Xavier Catholic Faith Community. By 2007, nearly 80 years since Mrs. Brophy donated acreage to the Jesuits, a capital campaign of significant proportion was considered. The Vision and Planning Committee was established to assess the needs of both the parish and school. The committee found that St. Francis Xavier had outgrown its facilities that had aged beyond serviceability. The decision was made to address these needs by working from east to west and start with St. Francis Xavier School. This courageous decision would ensure that the education, services, programs, and projects provided to more than 6,000 parishioners would continue. Working in phases, the campaign and building committees planned construction of 3 new education wings, which today are enjoyed by more than 600 students within the new school and faith education center. Moving to the west, the campaign and building committees set their sight toward the completion of a parish hall, education, administrative, and community outreach center. Improvements for the existing church as well as parking lot and substructure to sustain these new endeavors were also included in the plan. Our current pastor, Father Dan Sullivan, expressed his vision for this building by saying, "This facility will be the focus and beginning of an Ignatian Jesuit influence in the center of the city and across Arizona." To reach each financial goal, we plan creative events. To complete each phase, we turn to a responsive community for continued commitment as we've realized more and more of the plan, the Master's plan. Each brick laid gave us the encouragement to carry on. Even the economic downturn as the campaign launched did not stop our momentum. Student-led fundraising events, intimate at-home meetings with longtime parish families, multi-generational gifts, and personal contributions by local businesses and community leaders fortified the campaign. The different phases of the project that once were dreams on paper were realized as living, breathing spaces where community can gather, students can learn, sports can be played, faith can be lived. How utterly appropriate are the words spoken by Frank Brophy to inspire the 1957 campaign effort. It is now pretty obvious that our parish seems destined to become one of the most important Catholic centers in Arizona. One day, when we have a beautiful new church, the finest schools for boys and girls in the Southwest, and a Catholic information center in the very heart of the capital of this great state, then those Catholics whose generosity and sacrifice have made all this possible will have reason to thank God that He gave them the opportunity to do so much at such an opportune and critical moment in our history. To those whose gracious and generous donations enabled us to realize who we are today, we say thank you. As we reference our past, we pause for a moment to honor those who so selflessly, in their time and place, provided for us the foundation stones that secure the many ministries that now emanate from our faith community.